is how do they feel to move? I like
Hmm.
interesting movement options. I like to be able to just kind of feel dynamic in that
How do
way,
they
right?
feel
So
to move?
Slayer
I
had
want I
a
want the most limited movement in the game, except for maybe Bedman. No, I'm trying to move on as little of the screen as possible. Raven, yeah, perfect character.
yeah, except when you start off and this is something I'll kind of get into, but you
Yeah,
start off, you got this dash, you can go across the whole screen, you just glide at people, like it feels like you're very fast,
yeah.
and you have these options that you don't learn until later that are not as good as you think they are.
Hmm. Yep. No, I feel it. I actually, it was funny because for me, I remember getting blown up by this character because I had no idea what it did, and I was just the potential for high low mix was just too strong for my peanut brain to handle at the time. But I do
Yeah,
remember thinking, "Oh, this motherfucker's Jeddah from Vampire Savior," because I had messed around with Jeddah, and so it was cool to see like the swooping
yeah.
applied to a different character. Anyway, we got you here to talk Raven. Obviously, we had Babalu give his take on Raven much earlier on in the Rev2 review. But
Yeah,
you and
yeah.
Babalu play very different Ravens, so I'm super stoked to see what you got to talk about today. We usually started off with like 3 things that you recommend for other Raven players. Either this is stuff you're working on or things you think baby Raven should know. Whatever you want to take it on, just advice for people who play Raven.
Okay. Yeah, so obviously there's a lot. Uh I'll try to keep it to my personal philosophies, especially
That would be
I would
lovely.
say I
Thank
would
you.
I would say yeah, I would say my first idea is that Raven is the game's true zoner in a sense. And I have an argument for that. Not a lot of people are going to agree with me, but the reason I say this is he has a lot of the tools that other characters don't that work for zoning better. He applies a slow to you.
Hmm.
He's got very fast projectiles at 3 different angles that control a lot of space. He can act out of them, not just with like Y or C, but like in the
Yeah.
air if you do it correctly. So he's got some tricky stuff like that. His normals, his whole toolkit is built to, play from this range.
Hmm.
Once he gets up here, the fastest frame normal he has is a 5 frame normal. He's not
Okay.
really like poking at you. His buttons aren't made to like really challenge all the good close range characters.
Hmm.
But once he's out here, it's a lot harder to approach. You've got this 5H that just kind of takes, look at that,
Yeah.
it just
That's
blows up
pretty
a lot of
fast
things.
too.
Yeah, it's 10 frames.
Oh wow.
It acts as an anti-air, like it can OS. So he's got multiple anti-airs that kind of cover different angles. His 6P,
Hmm.
5K works really well, and his 5H. And of course, just because his normals are so long and disjointed, he can anti-air you over here. So say for like a character like Slayer or even Chip, now you're slowed. You can't really get out of this orb. Your horizontal movement is
Yeah.
restricted, and so obviously you can only zone for so long in Guilty Gear, but the idea is that his risk reward right here
Hmm.
is very, very low. And you want to create the situation where you can finally start your offense. Because without like meter, he kind of struggles to gain meter, and then if you want to push offense too early on, you burn all your meter and potentially like put yourself in the corner over
Sure.
gliding in your dash, just and then Raven's in the corner, and that's where he definitely does not want to be. So that's my first tip, is that learn your effective range as Raven,
Hmm.
and come to the idea that if not even a zoner, but if you play more over here, you can do a lot more for the character.
Hmm.
Because if you want to RPS with your opponent, that's all well and fine. Just recognize that the chances of you winning those RPSs are actually a lot lower than you think they are, and the what you pay as opposed to them for losing that situation is a lot higher.
Yeah. I see. So basically what you're saying is like you want to think of kind of the base place that you're playing a matchup from. Like neutral for you starts at like this range, basically, right?
Yes,
Got it. Okay. Uh, and if
because
you
from
run
like
in from
here,
here, you can, but it's risky, or your tools are a little bit less reliably effective.
yeah, you're kind of forced to block a needle. Raven's like at
Okay.
advantage.
Yeah.
He has optional RC. Like he can back. Like one thing I want to show off is check out this backdash.
Hmm.
Right, I'm like,
It's
you'll
pretty
see me
good. Yeah.
abuse it a lot. Yeah, it's not exactly the fastest. but the range it covers is very strong,
Mm-hmm.
and it's much like it, so it's almost like a teleport in that way. Uh, he got a good backdash, so his movement tools to get away are very strong.
Yeah.
But also, if you think of like, you jump and then I run to the other side or I glide to the other side, suddenly he's got a very fast dash momentum. He's just on the other side of the screen. So in that way, he can control space very, very well.
I see. I see. So
Which is
when
the
you
thing, like,
when you're playing from here, I guess go on. Like where do you want to go from here?
oh, I was just gonna say for like a character versus chip,
Yeah.
at right here you can approach with alpha and you can teleport.
Yeah.
So I can kind of do that, but ideally, for him, like if you teleport in, I can like run to the other side of the screen and we're back to the same situation. So yeah, we'll do it. I can do it. See, I either get backdash or I'll get dash to the other side if you yeah. Which isn't a bad situation if you're not trying to like deal with chips. You're not ready to like IB the hits, or you're not trying to guess which way he's going to go. And that's something I recommend versus chip for everyone. But for Raven, that's something you can do versus every character. Is that you don't want to be where the other character wants to be.
Mm-hmm. I see. So if I'm like really committing to running at you or getting in there with teleport or something, you would almost rather just bail on that situation entirely if you can.
Yes. Because if I have no meter, right? I'm not really gonna mash versus you. If you got a DP, you can kind of like throw out in my strings. Like I'm not very plus.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is my close slash is my plusest,
Mm-hmm.
and you can ID that and like punish if you got a DP if I try to continue. So like you have to do like close slash 1-2s to keep that gapless.
I see.
Right, but if I do like that,
yeah,
and go for something after, that's like you'll like CT DP'd me immediately. There was. It's just like, oh, okay, yeah,
nice.
He's ready. Which is why like things like even if dust doesn't open you up, it's like +0 that far away, which is like, okay, I'm safe. Or I go scratch and it has no hit stop, so I'm safe.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
The effective range is actually a bit even risky right here.
Yeah.
Because you see that the pushback from 2H can be IB'd, and then if you go for scratch, it gets punished.
Mm-hmm.
So that's actually a very key thing to learn versus Raven in particular for other characters, is learn how to deal with 2H at that range. Because if you don't create the RPS situation that forces me to do like 2H needle to change it up. I can always just kind of scratch.
Let's try and keep focused on what should Raven players do first. And then
all right, yeah. Okay. So these two kind of tie in together, but Raven doesn't do a lot of damage.
Yeah.
So learn not only how to convert from like max range, but learn how to get the most out of your combos. And this is before even getting into excitement. One thing about Raven is that crouching, like he can go, if you're crouching, you can go from like close slash into 2S and then scratch. So 2S, 2H tacks on a bunch more damage. Like if you see me like round start, like go get this, but that doesn't combo.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just one of those kind of things where that extra normal, any extra normal you can fit in as Raven at any point in time is worth it. Because his overall output is so low.
Gotcha.
Like, yeah, and without excitement, he's not really getting that great a mix on you. He gets a 2-hit ball. It's a level 2 ball. So that's important to remember, is that as excitement rises, he gets more hits and the attack level of the ball increases.
Okay.
So I'll just read it out how I wrote it. Learn how to use excitement and aim to gain and maintain as much possible without sacrificing too much advantage. You can do this by ending combos in scratch. You can get a tick after stancing, or from stance after a KD, or stancing while at 6+ will let you kind of circumvent getting the whole tick. I know Babalu went on that. You kind of just get to the.
Yeah.
It's like half the time you get to a hip thrust, and so like if you can get that far, it becomes very, very easy to maintain. Is the point. And that just leads to overall, like if you can even get to 3 versus most characters, like you get this combo, which immediately just ups his game. And also you're at a 10% damage increase for every you get a 3% damage increase for every single tick of excitement. There are 10 total.
All right, that's
So
pretty
it's
sick. Yeah.
risky, but like if you can manage your excitement and even just kind of gain small ticks like this overall, like your overall output
Hmm.
rises a lot. Which brings me into the third point, which is obviously here we go adapt stance. And I'll read off the paragraph here. Stance is your strongest tool. It leads to many defensive options, and correct usage can force the opponent to have to completely change the way they play you. You will die a lot learning how to do this correctly, but it is worth the long term gain. Think of it like a 5 frame parry and how it can force a more strike throw oriented game plan, leaving you more opportunity to block or escape. Now, this is especially important because, while he does have his super, uh, when he's in the corner, because of his movement options, he can't get out that great.
Hmm.
He's only got that 5 frame normal. He's not going to really mash on you that great. So the RPS situation becomes I mash, I get counter hit, I block, I eat the high low or tick throw setup, or I kind of threaten this 5 frame parry, which can be punished, but adds to the RPS situation where I know, and you often know this also, you are forced to go for the tick throw much more often,
Sure.
which doesn't do as much damage, and so it kind of works out more for me because I get into Gus range and I have more opportunity. So it's just kind of when you have a parry like that, you have to be aware of it, and yeah, it's very risky, but much in the same way you must use your DP. I think that's one thing a lot of Raven players will ignore just because how much shit you'll eat for it.
Yeah, but I mean DPs are invuln frame one usually, right? Same with like
Yeah.
Azami or Jam Parry, right? Like Blitz. What because your stance has 5 frames of startup, like where do you use it? Do you still use it on like wake up? Like would you use it as a
Uh,
reversal?
so there are some situations I do use it as a reversal. The
Mhm.
best example I can give for this is Leo backturn stance. When he
Yep.
overheads you, is often not
Sure.
completely needy,
Yeah.
and so threatening with a stance right there is actually a very strong option. And so if it's but the best places to use it are it's very strong as an anti-air,
Mm.
and it's very effective during gaps and block strings if you can create one long enough.
Sure. So you're probably like FDing or at least regular blocking the first couple hits of a block string and then going to stance. Maybe
Yeah,
once you get to like far S range or something like that, right?
like Johnny, like 2H air dash stuff. Like if you IB that and like it's at a certain level, you can like stance the
Sure.
incoming air dash and get
Okay,
him off
okay,
you, and
yeah.
that's like super good then.
Gotcha. Okay.
And this is just a quick one, but needle wire C is not an excuse for neutral.
Mm.
It's so punishable, and I'll go into this later. But just as beginning Raven, just no, just look at all your meter. You're dead.
Hmm.
Stop it.
That's a good call out. I mean, uh, with baby chips, it's easy to see them using wire C gamma or wire C teleport a lot, and they're very, very good tools. Um, but if you tank your meter gain, then you don't get to use them nearly as often, right? It's a lot easier to. Actually, I guess it's a lot harder to feel the cost, like because in the moment you're just like, oh, it's just 25 meter, but then if you actually start paying attention to your rate of meter gain, it feels like a lot more than 25 once you see how long it takes you to gain meter again.
There's
Anyway,
also
yeah.
it's very hard to punish not only online but unless you're ready for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you have to IB the needle, and then a lot of characters can 6P the glide,
Mm-hmm.
but that doesn't happen a lot, and so it's often very you just kind of get a free in
Yeah.
versus a lot of people if they're not ready to deal with it,
Yeah.
and so that's why it just feels like, oh, I can abuse this forever.
And then you get exposed, and then it feels real bad, and you have to learn how to play neutral. I got you. And then,
Yeah.
and then that's when Ravens just start fucking running in, right? That's when they're like, oh wait, I got this dash, this teleport dash that's invuln on frame 10 or whatever it is.
Yeah, that is the initial idea.
Gotcha. All right. Well, that's definitely some good tips for up and coming Raven players. What you got for people playing against Raven?
So this kind of harkens back to how you feel like you've got these great movement options as Raven when you start off, and the thing is if you're the opponent, you want to learn how to check Raven's movement. Raven should never feel free to simply dash or glide at you like for nothing. And you can check this in various ways. It's just it's not as strong as you think it is for either player. The strongest tools are Samus's biggest weaknesses. They're not standard movement tools, so learn how to move. Okay, I just kind of repeated myself there. But the point being is like dash takes 10 frames to start up.
Mm-hmm.
You go invuln for up to 16 frames, but you can call this like so. Long startup moves very good for that have a lot of recovery. Like people trying to check you with a normal right there. Yeah, just kind of go through. Like I've dashed through Gamma before, done
Yep.
correctly. Also very risky because I just potentially get jam. Like anything with an active button, anything recovers very fast. You can just throw out there. Like Irene was catching me with Jam 2S because it's just
Yep.
so active that it was just like, yeah, okay, yeah, no, let me in.
Yeah, I find like if I'm trying to run in on you with like a 6P or something, that's usually what gets me blown up by dash, because 6P is only active for like a frame or two. It's like not active for that long. Yeah. So this'll often get caught, or this'll often whiff a dash, and so that's when I have to go back to like mashing 5K
Yeah.
or something like that.
And so the startup on that's fairly long, and
Yeah.
your glide is slower than your dust.
Uh-huh.
And once you realize that, once I realized that, my entire idea about how good glide was changed, because everyone knows like dust is reactable, and if it's slower than that, if I'm doing this in your face and I glide at you, you can 6P, you can jump out. That brings me to my second piece of advice is the
Well, hold on.
best
Before
thing
we
to.
move on to
Okay,
your
yeah,
second
yeah.
piece of advice, I do want to point out, like, if you go ahead and do the reglide,
Okay.
yeah. So with that, like, that's actually it's tricky, because even though it takes longer than dust to get to the hit, right?
Yeah. You're in
If I
block them.
swing on this, I'm basically swinging on the jump, right?
Yeah.
Not the glide. Because by the time you
Yeah.
go into the glide, it's too late for me to swing on you. Right?
Yeah, you want to
I
be
can't
hitting your
confirm the
button.
glide. I'm looking at, yeah, go ahead and do that jump cancel again. Yeah. Like if you just let the jump rock, you might get me mashing 6P, right? Like yeah, don't glide.
Yeah. Okay, sorry.
Oop. Yeah, just
So
jump
just
cancel, don't glide.
okay, gotcha.
See?
Yeah. And so you
Like,
can bait it out like that.
yeah. Like blocking dust is fine, and y'all Ravens use dust to open me up like all the time. I get it; it's a good tool, but I would say don't be too scared to use that jump cancel glide, because if I'm swinging on it, it's telling you something, right? It's
Yeah.
telling me that I'm trying to react to that, and then I'm sure you could just do like jump dust or something to beat me, right? Oop. Maybe delay jump H or jump back. Nah, that won't work. Try just jump H on the way down. Yeah. Or you could get a
But
JS
yeah, JK.
probably. Yeah.
JK is active a long time. Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's not a terrible idea to swing, but obviously if you get baited out, then you want to switch it up. But that does kind of bring it to the next point, was where I'm pretty sure that with jump startup, like you could react to the glide if you like, instead of just the jump and hitting the button, and just try to like jump out if you think I'm gonna.
Like to visually confirm that you're going into glide, that's tough.
Yeah.
Like I'm willing to bet. Maybe we set this up as like the bot doing a 50-50 later, right? Like if you have it set to jump cancel and then delayed H versus jump cancel glide, like I'm willing to bet that the timing that you do to 6P glide will just lose. Like the Raven will be able to whiff punish. So try it out, because I think you might not be looking for, or you might not understand what's going through the person's mind when they're 6Ping.
Gotcha. So do you want me to run up and then jump cancel and the glide?
No, we don't have to do it right now. This is more
Okay.
of an advisory for the audience, right? Because
Gotcha.
like I hear what you're saying, but the reason that people are swinging on you here is not because they're visually confirming the glide. Is because they see the jump cancel and they're like, oh, this motherfucker's gonna glide.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, what were you gonna
Uh,
say next?
just obviously, just jump is a very big half a meme. But if I'm this range and I am trying to glide at you and you're not feeling confident in your anti-airing skills, you can just hop over me a lot of the time. And if you're in the corner and I try to glide at you, I'm stuck going towards the corner.
Right.
There's no way out for that for me. Like,
You're saying if I'm here, yep, okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a common way to die. Is you as Raven, you're doing the Rainbow of Sadness over here, and you're like, oh, okay, it's time to go in.
Yeah, I
And
guess
even
even if I
getting hit
tech
like
out or
that,
something, yeah.
it's often a lose for Raven because it's just like, okay, I gave up all the work I did to get you into the corner.
Right. It's like how worth it is it for Raven to be like chasing you down in the corner, like versus just kind of chilling out here and making you run into stuff.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Like most worth it is if he can lock you down. Like it's not even chasing then if he's got like his multi-hit orb on you and you're jumped into it. He's just kind of repositioning. uh, and a little bit farther on the just jump, many ball setups, especially the ground orb, if they go in a ground orb, like you could just backdash uh, and jump out. They're very fake. A lot of ones in the corner, if positioned badly, like if they're knocking you down in a position where you're like whatever, like you should try to test out the first few setups and see if you jump out. It becomes less advisable as excitement rises because the knockdown becomes tighter.
Wait, so what am
But
I jumping out
often,
on? Just jumping out from here? Oh,
yeah, like so maybe not for chip. Sorry. But like without like a good knockdown, a lot of his just like that are very weak. Ah,
the curse of the
there we
lifestyle.
go. Yeah, but even that, like the tech out situation is often very good.
Yeah,
Like those,
I'm usually like if I get meaty balled and I've got enough health, I'll usually try and backdash. Even if I get hit, it's not the worst. Like I'm in a low air tech situation. I think unless you burned meter, you don't get to convert off of it, right? Or maybe if you're like super excited or something.
like up two hit orb, like if I'm gliding back in and I have to hit you, like
Yeah.
I'll get a combo. But if I land, I won't get it
Gotcha.
without extra hits on the orb. And the one thing is like you're chip and you've got a delayed wake up and you're still able to jump out a lot of these
Right.
setups. So that can kind of tell you that a lot of these things, and especially from a lot of Raven players, if they don't know the just correct KD, are often going to lead to situations you can get out of. And all right, so I think that's two.
Yeah.
Uh, Raven's ground pressure is very limited. It forces him to rely on either risky resets with glider dash or spending needle to needle YRC. FD can be used to push Raven out early on as during during common block strings to sometimes whiff. For example, close slash two, if I FD'd, like
All right.
will often whiff. Sorry, let me. You kind of see how far out I am. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not really gonna
All
there
right.
with
So,
the 5H.
yeah. The second hit is still hitting, but yeah. Okay. I see.
I'm not doing it, but
Yeah.
it often happens to me.
Sure.
Like Giuliano, just you spend all your meter to FD Raven out, and then that's all it is because he's not really doing much here. Yeah. Even the close slash, like I think IB into close slash, I don't know the correct sequence, but close slash two will get whiff punished so much and that it's frustrating. So that is definitely something you want to work on. Is it's very basic ground strings, right? Like he's just got your normal Gatling tree. You can go practice it. There's the 5H whiffs. If you're not, I just kind of okay, then I get to run my pressure and I can 5H and scratch you. Needle wire C is often abused as a way to skip neutral. While this is a strong tool, due to spacing is often weaker than it may appear. If you IB on the needle, you often get blitz or 6P. as an answer, since Raven cannot go for a glide mix up here, the main threat is from a tick throw setup. So even if you're not going, like even if you're just letting Raven needle YRC and re-glide on you, he wants to do either like drop down throw. You can kind of like fake out and go low, which is a bit riskier because you can get thrown out of it. But it's a good for bait for blitz, or he just goes into his overhead string, which is just the kind of the high sequence. So you're not really worried about a mix up there. You're just in a pressure string.
Yeah, I guess you can vary. You still get like up to 4 high hits, right?
You get yes, the glide counts as one.
Yeah.
You can do things like JS, JH, which will kind of hit for 4, but it's a bit tricky.
But yeah, you still get what I'm saying is you still get those options off of glide or needle
yes,
glide, right? Yeah.
So you do get like Raven has all these glide strings that he can go out of that have like different effects, but the main ones are SPS and SPJH1, which are the most plus. I think SPS is like +9, and JH Endure with 1 is like +13, +14, depending. And so if I'm just wanting pressure, like that's why I'm always going to do this to you. I'm just so plus off that.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's still a reason to go for that off of needle YRC, right?
Yeah.
Like you said there was no mix up, but you're able to at least threaten with up to 3 or 4 high hits, right?
Yes.
If you like, you still have the other tools that Babalu talked about, right? Like you can stop the string at any point to go for a throw.
Yes.
And it's risky, but you can do it, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Just making sure I'm understanding you.
Yeah, and so often really risky throw ticks come off like JS. Like yes, you get more. Or actually, the risky ones are like off JP.
Sure.
Where you can just IB and like the defender will be at advantage. Like you were kind of just hoping that they wouldn't do something there. I'll often get thrown if I'm just going for like that tick throw. Whereas like I have to kind of walk forward. Like yeah, I'm a bit plus, but anyway. Which comes kind of in the jump situation. If you block all the highs and you think, or he's gonna go throw a reset, you can just hop out. And
so you're saying like needle YRC, go in, press some buttons, doesn't work, but you get like a close slash or something, and so you just peace out from there.
Well, like if let me see here. I don't know.
No, like because I want to be clear. You're saying after needle YRC, you have these options,
yes,
right? And like you're kind of skipping a step here because you're saying, well, the other person's going to want to do this, that, or this other thing, right?
Okay,
but the basic option still works, right?
Here's what a string.
Yeah. Boom. So so you land and then so you go for throw, or if you keep on going for buttons, right? If you keep on going for the pressure string.
Yeah, I can just go into another.
And then from there, you're saying jump cancel and like ID backwards or something and bail, right?
For
what do you do with the jump cancel? Because you're saying you should use the jump cancel for something, but I don't know what it is.
Well, what I'm saying is that you should pay attention to how the Raven wants to reset you, because off a close slash and JH are your jump cancelable buttons.
Yeah.
And so those are often the spaces where he'll let you out. Now to counter that, he's going to 2H scratch you. But if you jump right here, like he's going to push you out into these situations where he resets you, but he's kind of guessing also, right? Like yes, he can air grab you. You can jump blitz that if you're like, I don't have any meter, but if you're really feeling extra, and that is a possible out situation. I know you're looking for specific answers here. It's just it's in a more of a feel situation for me.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's just I try to make these sessions as clear as possible, right?
Yeah,
and I appreciate that getting in here describing concepts. So that's useful, but like being able to distill this stuff into like pretty concrete takeaways is ultimately the goal. So let's figure this one out, right?
Okay.
You're saying So you're starting your string with needle wire C, right?
Yeah,
And
and at the very first thing I'm saying is it's very dangerous to do this right here
yeah.
because the opponent can IB, and
Mhm.
then I go in and often get 6P'd, or because Blitz is a very strong option.
Sure. So let's start with that, right? Because like right
Yeah,
off the bat, I haven't IB'd a single wire C needle, right? Okay, so I need to wait until after the, at least at this space, I need to wait until after time dilation is over, right? Oh,
here we go.
try it again.
But yeah, so this range is pretty hard to IB, but if you're at this space, it can.
Still pretty hard. Try it again.
Yes.
Try it again. Okay, yeah. Yeah, so the hard part here is, I don't know how often you've tried to IB needle wire C, but the hard part here is basically that the way it's spaced from here, like I guess once it's a little further out, then there's more time, right? Like
Yeah.
here, go ahead and do it. Yeah. So out here, when you're at almost full screen, if you do it, it's pretty easy to IB because there's enough time between when the wire C time dilation ends and when you can when you can input the IB, right? Because me inputting shit during time dilation usually like doesn't really do shit. But if we're up here, go ahead and do it. I can't. I'll try and mash. Oh,
Kind of just.
nope.
So it'll be like I'll run up close slash needle wire C as I
Yeah,
get
let's
pushed
get you
out.
some meter.
Well, obviously, I would. That's like.
Okay, that one worked. I think that might have been before Flash. Yeah. Yeah. So it is actually a lot easier to IB the needle wire C if you do it off a block string, because I can input it, the IB input, before you get your wire C slowdown, or if you do it at full screen, because I can input it afterwards. But actually around this range, it's really nasty because the timing and spacing on it is such that I have to hit a pretty tight link. If we do it from round start, just go ahead and do it now. Oh yeah, if we do it from round start, I think I have to already be blocking.
Yeah. Whoa.
Okay, yeah, that was pretty close. Yeah. Yeah, how often have you tried to IB needle wire C?
We don't go for it, honestly.
Yeah.
I think it's too risky for a Raven to eat that misgip if he doesn't.
How often have you played against Raven? Like any character matchup?
A lot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
I've got a lot of experience versus like Babaloo and other Ravens.
yeah. But you don't like try and IB the needle?
Yeah, I mean, I know it's very concept wise, but I like to just try to jump out.
Sure. Yeah. Now, it's interesting for me because I think you probably don't have, I don't know, just in this exchange, what I'm finding is that you're giving the other player, you're assuming the other player is capable to do things that are actually a lot harder than I think you realize. And I think this is really cool because like I didn't realize that needle wire C was so timing and spacing dependent, right? But if you do it like yeah, that one was hard. That one was hard as fuck. Because I saw the needle come out, right? And my instinct was, oh shit, time to IB, right? Because if you just throw it from here and don't wire C, right? Oh, do it again. Yeah. One more. Yeah. So here, basically, if I IB assuming that you're not going to wire C, right? I'm reacting to just the initial startup, and I'm going for that timing, right? And then what you're doing is you're throwing in the wire C, that's fucking with my timing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're eating the IB input that I want. I'll try do it one more. Sorry, we'll give you meter. Do it one more time. Oh yeah, if I mash, I get backdash or something. Like it's actually pretty hard. if you catch them, you like it would be more like you throw out a needle and you see if they're looking for it, right? Like out here, you just throw out a needle.
I do get tap blitz on it too.
No, but yeah, no, I'm saying just throw out a needle. Like,
Oh,
don't
sorry,
do
sorry.
anything afterwards. Yeah. Oh. Oh. Yeah. And then if you see them doing that, right? Then you throw out the YRC one, and you'll probably get in close to for free. I don't know. Maybe it's like easier to blitz or something. But try going. Yeah.
You're not wrong in that it's difficult, but it's definitely something people do to me very often. So I think that's why I might have assumed.
Yeah, but so what I'm saying is like, if people are doing it to you often, then it's probably because they're already looking for something, right? It feels like you got like you're starting out at layer 2, but you don't necessarily have the layer 3. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if I'm playing against Raven, yeah, obviously the tip here that we're trying to get is like you should IB needle, right? But if I'm too predictable with IB needle, then the needle YRC actually becomes a bigger threat than it sounds like you're giving it credit. You have to see that they're willing to do that first. You know what I mean?
I'm not saying it's not strong or it's not a strong tool because needle, it's very strong here. It's hard to be IB. Obviously, the YRC throwing off IB timing was something I never considered, but it is doable.
It is. It's especially doable when you're using it as a pressure extender here, right?
Yeah.
Because the needle comes out before the YRC slowdown comes.
Oh God, how can I not just do a fireball?
Yeah, that was super easy. Can you do like 2H into needle? That doesn't give you YRC, right? That's purple no matter what. Oh no, that was really that was in the tricky range. If you do the tip of, yep, okay. It's still manageable. I think it might be closer like here, right? Oh, I mashed. That's hard. Oh yeah, that was so you put it right there, right? Okay. Yeah, I think you might actually want to fuck with doing more 2H into needle YRC and see if that works out better for you than the other ones.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
Real quick on that, we did touch on how, like, before we even get into how the YRC is going to fuck up that, throwing needles out here, like, is going to work versus a lot of people, but the moment you toss 2 and you see 2 IBs, you stop. You walk forward, you start varying your timing. That's when you start, wanting to YRC, because that's when your game plan falls apart for just being able to throw needles out for free.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like, oh, I'm giving them tension pulse, and if you're like someone like Slayer, he dashes forward and suddenly he's just got a full, half bar.
Yeah, you definitely. It's not communicated that quickly, but actually, here, let's just see what it looks like. So I just got negative penalty. Yeah, let's see, if I IB 2? Yeah, you can see my meter starting to come back now when I walk forward. Oh. Oh, there we go. I'm trying the hitbox IB, the one where you tap forward. Oh, too early. But yeah, you can see Chip starting to get like visible amounts of meter when he's walking forward. Like that's pretty significant. Obviously, Chip's not gonna be walking that much, but that's meter that you basically gave me just by giving me stuff to IB, right?
Yeah. And so it was GC Yoshi who taught me that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Was he just sitting there IBing stuff and getting meter, and then everyone's telling him don't do that? Yeah.
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 Because I'm like, oh, I'm winning, I'm zoning, right? Like, no, and this is part of the, like, yeah, that's not zoning anymore. That's letting your opponent get advantage.
Right. Yeah. And that's true for more than just Raven. Like, anytime someone throws a full screen projectile, if you IB it, even if you took a little bit of chip damage, you just walk forward. Now you're getting a whole bunch of meter that you weren't getting before. All right. Well, anything else you want to add to the pile of Raven knowledge?
Yeah, if you're a character who swings hard and you like have the capacity to output a bunch of stun damage,
Mm-hmm.
but you like to use your meter for other things, uh don't versus Raven. Like even Faust, he can just like RC dust, like hit a bunch of level 4 buttons and stun Raven.
Mm.
So it's, even if you don't stun him immediately, it's kind of worth knowing like you could output a bunch of stun on him and win the round that way.
Wait, what is his stun value relative to the rest of the cast?
He has a 55 stun value.
Okay, is that the lowest?
50 is the lowest. That's Dizzy.
Oh,
Chip
Dizzy
maybe.
is the easiest to stun. That's hilarious. Okay. Oh, interesting. I wonder if that's why all of Pepsi's fucking long ass pot combos always fucking seem to murder you and Babalu each time.
Yes, he knows that he's gonna TOD me.
Good old Pepsi. All right. Well, cool. That was dope. Kept it nice and brief. Thank you, Adapt, for coming through and sharing that Raven knowledge.
I thank
Yeah,
you for your deep knowledge of fighting games. You helped me learn also.
hell yeah. Well, we all learning and growing here, and
Well,
yeah.
that I was gonna say the main difference between me and Babalu is Babalu is a very technical player. I think he knows a lot of specific things, and he can sit there and tell you that, JD's got landing recovery. You can go punish that. I tend to think in concepts a lot more, so
Yeah.
that's how I approach the game. I think that's kind of where I view a lot of the difference. And
Yeah.
so as such, I'm not really good at being like, oh yeah, you're right. Like that is like a lot harder to react to and IB than I perceive.
Sure. So to be clear, like the reason I'm calling you out on this stuff is not because I think the information that you're providing is like poorly formatted or whatever. It's specifically because I understand that you're describing your experience from playing Raven, but I also understand, and I know that you as a player do this, right? Is that you are
Yeah.
very quick to either over respect or over assume that because you know where the holes are in Raven's offense, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think you realize how like every character has all these intense holes in their offense. Obviously, I know where the holes are in Chip's offense. I also know
Yeah.
how hard it is for the opponent to manage it, right? Because I played against fucking Sandwich, and I played against Bears, and I know that like even though I see the holes in the offense, if I don't know that it's coming, if I'm not willing to swing on it before I can, but before I'm like calmly reacting to it, then I know that that shit is dicey, right? So
Yeah.
like the point here is instead of going in assuming that every player is already going to be able to do this, right? Go in from the perspective of, yeah, you need to prove to me that you're capable of doing this. And not just that you're capable of doing this, but that you're capable of doing it today. Because maybe you did it yesterday, but today is a different day, you know?
Yeah.
Like don't paint yourself into that corner of assuming more, either more knowledge or more capability, because even though I know that I'm supposed to be IBing the fucking needles, right? That's what helps. That's the pressure valve for your for your offense, and it gives me meter, right? It makes my life a lot easier if I can IB that shit. But I'm trying to juggle like 18 different things when I play against any different character in this, any given character in this, right?
Yeah.
So like don't preemptively give your opponent that respect. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And with YRC specifically, like I was pleasantly surprised to find that actually the reason I'm messing this up is not because like I'm a fucking dumbass. It's because there is a legit interaction between how YRC slowdown works with this thing to make it really fucking hard, right? Because
Yeah.
if I'm pressing the IB in the normal window, then the YRC slowdown will cover it. That's absolutely something that you should know, right?
Yeah.
Now, I'm
No,
not saying that
I'm
you
really
should
happy
know,
that
and so you shouldn't have presented that information more. Like this is useful to you. You now have an understanding of YRC needle or needle YRC that and how it works these different ranges. That's cool as fuck.
Yeah. No, I learned a lot from that. I enjoyed being questioned on it. It's
And
just for me, it's like, okay, I gotta like, okay, how do I describe this then?
yeah, yeah, I get it. Well, we will certainly have you on the show again, and when we do, just hit me up and we can find a way to turn your concepts into stuff that's a little bit clearer and easier to break apart, right? Because
All right.
I got mad respect for anyone who sits down and watches these things, right? And thank God Adapt kept it relatively quick, because I did too last week too. Both of y'all kept it, I think, under an hour. Fucking Babalu coming out here took, I think we didn't even get to the match review part, which is what we're doing now. I don't even think we got to the match review part until like well over an hour. So I appreciate it. Anyway, I'm going to open up this lobby so people can get games in, and then we're going to take a look at this this replay footage that you called out.
Okay.
So yeah, feel free to join up real quick. The lobby ID is 5x73. I'll get you that invite. Make sure you can get in here. Zero asks, do I upload them on YouTube? I do, in fact. Pretty much anything that's of note from this stream gets archived on youtube.com/paththeflip. Oh, Gage, yeah, Bab had a whole fucking dictionary or encyclopedia or whatever it is of Raven shit ready to go.
Yeah.
And I'm sure y'all will be cooking on that next time too. All right.
That is one part where I did kind of go for more concepts instead of like, okay, I'll focus on some specific things, but also I'm just that way.
I mean, look, I appreciate. I probably more than anyone else out there can appreciate a good concept, but the challenge is that you can think of a concept as linking a bunch of different data points together in a way that's really elegant and makes it easy to access all those data points, right? Without having to have actually like researched those points yourself. It's great. The hard part is when you give people concepts and they don't already have the data points, right?
Yeah.
Then they're looking at a bunch of things they don't understand. They go, cool, well, one day I will understand this. It's tricky. Teaching is tricky stuff. All right. Let's see. Gutter Daughter sent me a bunch of links, so we're just going to pull these up, and I'm going to get it on the watchtogether.tv. All right. Creating that room. You're not watching this. I think it's. They always link us like student projects or something, I think.
I'm gonna get that G-Uner video.
Oh God. Please no. All right. So this one is 44 minutes and 42 seconds in. 44. We'll take 44:36. And I am going to send you the link to the lobby. All right. So we should be on, and you can steer to your heart's content. Tell us what we're looking at.
All right. And I believe I'm in.
Also, real quick to Zero in the chat, are you the one organizing the Brazilian Rev2 tournaments? I think I saw you either in the comments or on a tweet a little while ago. Gotcha. Okay. Well, that's awesome. I didn't realize that there was a scene in Rev2 scene in Brazil trying to put together tournaments, but that's fucking sick. If y'all got like Twitch or YouTube that you want to plug to get more eyeballs on those sets, let me know. We might actually want to watch one of the VODs on stream one of these days. If y'all don't mind, that'd be cool. Because there ain't that many Rev2 locals going on right now. Anyway, Adapt, are you in here?
I'm here.
Cool. Yeah. Press play whenever you want us to go, baby.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're supposed to drive this.
Repping in
Gotcha.
CT
You were talking to. Anyway.
Yeah, it's CT for a little bit now.
Should I mute this?
I'm muting it. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, your set versus Davo was dope.
Yeah, so Davo, I did really strong versus at the start, and I wanted to kind of exhibit that just because I did a lot of like the zoning I was talking about with Raven and trying to play at like more effective range, and even my approaches, I'm not really trying for a lot of Oki, trying to respect DP. Slow right there. One thing is like needle slow. If you're a Raven player, if you kind of catch them in that tech situation, you can get an orb off and often force them to block it, which is kind of a nice tricky thing to learn here. And this is, I dropped my combo, but I would have been able to kill just from combo optimization. I had a lot of excitement. Still got burst. 2P right there, because of souls, like hitbox, if he comes in with like certain buttons, you can low profile it, so it's kind of a risk. but often works out the first few times that they kind of try to IAD mix you. Right here, we're just kind of dancing around. I can take care of Gunflame with needles. He manages to find his way in. I want none of that. That was a bit of a risky dash in, but there I just glide. He jumps. That's what I mean. Just jump. I put myself in the corner.
Ooh.
This might okay. That's a tech situation that kind
Hey.
of works out for Raven often, but I can respect the command grab. Yeah. So
Ooh.
he FD'd out and got out of the tick throw setup. Just
Does
backdash 3 times and do it.
does Raven? I know Davo uses JH a lot. Like it's his primary neutral tool. Does Raven not have good tools for dealing with it? Oh, there's the air throw. Because I did
really sure
notice
how his anti-airs are.
I see. So
Like stance can be okay, but he has no recovery. So
right. Like with Chip, I usually need to either see if I can get like a counter hit 2H trade or perfectly time a 6P. And those are my go-to options.
so there is one thing you kind of want to look out for Raven if you have like a good 2D or low profiling move is that you can get under his 5P, far slash, and sometimes 5D, like Jam 2D will low profile Raven 5H.
Mm-hmm.
And so Davo like went right under my far slash with 2D.
Gotcha.
And if you want to see Davo dismantle me, definitely watch the rest of this as he adapts. I think I start to play strong off, and then he starts to kind of like he recognizes that I was going for the low profile to make him whiff. So he just adapted really fast, changed up his game plan.
Yeah, Davo is definitely good at adapting in like a first to two. He's got his options. I'm always really impressed by seeing him change it up from game to game.
Davo played me when I was but a baby on PSN, and he was still just as strong as Solos then. And so like I don't know. I'm just happy to be able to give him some good games now.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Next up is a Rev Tuesday. Let's pull this one up. This is 1 hour 41. Oh, is the same one? Okay. Hour 41, 38. Okay. All right. This is you and Vero now. Yeah.
Yeah. And I will admit, I picked matches that I won, but I felt it's because I was doing a lot of good things in them, and that my opponent also did good things. So right there, I actually went for round start scratch to call out a backdash attempt. It was a bit, kind of a wild decision. Generally, I kind of like to backdash 2K versus a Slayer since, like, if he dashes in, he's going to get hit by the low. And then we just play the spacing game. Right, here's the two, like, so right there, I saw 2 IBs and I just stopped.
And well, yeah, clearly next time that happens, you should just try doing needle wire C.
Yeah.
Oh, nice
backdash cancel.
If it works,
and
then you're gonna give me $5. That's how this
oh, all right, I will. So Raven has a really good advantage versus characters with dashes like this without real runs, right? Because he can just control a lot of space with that orb. And either force like really awkward air approaches or just a stalemate on the ground. You can kind of gain some meter. Yeah, thankfully net play.
Yeah,
and since scratch recovery is fairly low,
I did not expect you to get that air throw.
Yeah, since you can get those like double scratch loops like in the corner and stuff, like the recovery is fairly low actually.
Ooh.
So he was pretty far away, so I was like, okay, I'm just gonna wake up stance.
I mean, yeah, it means it's unlikely that he's gonna hit you meaty, right? So you can be pretty sure that the stance is gonna work.
And once I start getting like that 2D scratch with that amount of excitement, it's actually like pretty meaty orbs.
Oh.
But man, that was a really dangerous glide, and I don't know why I did that.
Well, I mean, that you get to do that kind of shit when you have a health lead, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you want to keep going on this one, or?
I think it just kind of gets more scrambly.
Gotcha. All right. Then
But it's
let's.
pretty much the same thing, where it's like I control the spacing of the matchup, and then sometimes I IAD in because you can't stop going forward.
Yeah, picking Vero matches to go over is I mean it's exciting, don't get me wrong, and occasionally there's one or two like things you can point out. But I don't know anyone who doesn't get dragged into the chaos dimension with Vero when he plays. I mean, look at this. Look at this pace.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, I try to zone him out. He's ready for it. He's like, "Oh, you're running away? Okay." We're getting Slay around.
All right, let's see what the third one was. It was from Taggin. All right. Shouts to Taggin Battle.
Yeah, so the setup for this one is it's the second game, and Papaya strong off his win versus me at Cali Burst, like blows me up the first game, or at least it feels like it. And
let's see what the fuck.
I definitely just remember strongly forcing myself to remember the matchup and the pacing of the matchup, and just being able to put that into play. And so that's why I felt pretty good about this, because there's just a lot of like avoiding her 2S or 2H because of how Raven's movement works. Like, if he's at this range versus Ram, it's very dangerous for him. He can kind of try to dash in if he's got farther spacing. But without that, like, Papaya here is just going to use these, like that. Watch my life. So, that happens.
But yeah, you stayed in the corner.
And I don't really get out. I don't get much of it. And he kind of starts scrambling, like, because he's expecting me to go in now. He wants me to run in. So he's throwing out those 2S's and big buttons. And they have a lot of recovery. So he's like, wire seeing, getting his meter out there. And this is actually a really long round, because I don't got a lot of advantage. I know that he can kill me in pretty much one hit. And if I can kind of keep him like that. Oh, so there is one thing I wanted to say earlier. Scratch is an incredibly effective zoning tool that people don't really think about, especially Raven players. You can think of it like a mini beak driver, and once you realize that, like, it's a lot stronger than like 2H for a lot of things, because 2H has hurt box that'll often trade.
Sure.
So you can kind of just toss this long range thing out, and it's like, okay, that's you never think about it ever just tossing it out raw out like that.
And Scratch is like pretty safe on block, right? Like unless you do it point blank or something.
Yeah, it has no hit stop coded into it, so it's always got it's like kind of gamma-ish.
Oh, and then you get a timer scam off this? No, you just
almost, yeah.
Yeah, it's funny to me that Raven is actually, because Needle is such a stalling tool that does no damage. It ends up being like, I swear he's got more timer scam potential than almost anyone else in this game. Oh, the 5D hits. Block the burst. Was that block intentional?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's an OS from the glide.
I see. Ooh, nice blocks. And then you get the stance. Okay. And did you just jump cancel out of stance? Or was that,
I think I let it just
like
rock.
You just exited stance and then
it just exited stance.
I see. That was pretty fast. Because stance, he holds stance until you let go of the button, right? Is that how it works?
Yeah, if you just input stance and let it go, it's about 30 frames.
But do you know how long it is from when he lets go? Like, is there a recovery after that, or does he just instantly dip out?
There is a recovery. Let me look it up here.
Oh, nice throw.
So it has 29 frames of recovery from the moment you let go.
Okay. Wow, it's actually pretty long. It's longer than I thought.
And there's the no mix up.
Ooh.
That's a Potemkin trick. Watch your opponents steal their tricks.
Yeah. Actually, the reason that I do like, Chip has like a longer air dash string uh that he can he does like JK 2 hits, JS, and then JH, and so it ends up being like up to 5 hits high before he lands and continues the string. But the reason
Yeah,
I do that is because I was like, oh, this is kind of like Raven.
yeah.
Like
I want
Chip,
those 5 overheads.
yeah, Chip usually doesn't have much in the way of like air dash mix so much because his attacks aren't that great. But if you space that one just right, then you can get that string where you can like Raven, you can kind of land and threaten with throw a little earlier, or like delay the JS and try and get a counter hit because they're mashing, that kind of stuff. Goddamn.
Guilty Gear's nasty. Like a lot of characters have like 4 overheads they can get out some setups. Feels like at least. Venom, definitely.
Ooh. Oh.
Scrambles. Oh, I was so happy that that Rekka did not get me
Yeah.
that day. Unfortunately, I went up instead of 5d6, but
Yeah, but
tried
at
for
this point you
OTG
got it.
kill.
Ooh.
Yeah. And that is one thing that got brought up in another matchup. If Raven can get that early life lead,
Yep.
then he can spend the rest of the match just definitely laming you out.
Yeah. It's definitely like that's the thing that is, I think, more relevant to some characters than others. I think, like you were saying earlier, it's kind of hard for Raven to open people up sometimes.
Yeah,
Uh, but being able to sit on that life lead and know that just every time that they have to come in at you, and like, I don't know, like if I want if I'm sitting full screen, I don't want to go in on someone, I'll do find me, or I'll do slow shuriken, right? And like I'll stock up that advantage. I'll be like, cool, you're giving me space, I'll take it. But against Raven, I can't do that because Needle is so fast that if I
yeah.
try and do find me, you can just throw it out, and even if I get hit, or if even if I block it, I lose find me. If I go for a slow
Yeah.
shuriken, you do needle. Probably what happens is that the two collide, but that you can glide in and punish me for it.
Needle's speed takes out any dizzy summon from if you're on the other side of the screen. A jam can't charge card. Like I'm not sure. Like I know card, like an answer card is an instant projectile pretty
Yeah,
much. But as far as traveling projectiles, maybe stun edge. I'm not sure if needle is faster. Like, some venom balls hits definitely.
yeah. All right. Well, Adapt, thank you for coming through and sharing that Raven knowledge. Always happy to help out the fledglings as well as the ones trying to fight against Raven. Actually, I will call
But
that out because hold up, because we don't have that many Ravens playing at like the lower levels. A lot of our like beginner and intermediate players lack significant amount of Raven experience around their level to like practice against. So this will be useful for them, but also if there's any baby Ravens out there, you will be in a rich zone. Though I guess you're gonna have to deal with a lot of jams and chips out here, so maybe. But yeah, thanks Adapt for coming.
yeah, definitely.